Hey class, that's part number 3 of the review package. So the question says, Julie sells homemade knit scarf for $25 each at a local craft show. The contribution margin ratio is 60%. Currently, the craft show entrance fee costs Julie $1,500 per year. The craft show are raising their entrance fee by 25% next year. How many extra scarves will Julie have to sell next year just to pay for the rising interest fee cost? All right, so this is a very straightforward calculation problem. Now, first of all, we're going to understand what is contribution margin ratio. So the contribution margin ratio, now that's going to be the formula for it is your profit per unit divided by the price per unit. Now, we have the ratio, which is 60%. We have the price, which is $25. The next step to do is to find out what is the profit per unit. So for profit per unit, we're going to reverse this formula over here. So for profit per unit, we're going to use our contribution margin ratio, which is, let me just type everything out to make it easier for everybody. Insert, okay, so contribution margin ratio. Then we have price per unit. All right, so contribution margin ratio, this is 60%. Price per unit is $25. All right, so the profit per unit will be the 60% of $25. So the profit per unit is going to be $15. And then for the second part of the question, says how many extra scarves would Julie have to sell next year just to pay for the rising insurance cost? So before you can find out how many extra scarves we're going to sell, we need to find out how much is this rising interest fee cost. So the interest fee cost would cost 25% more over the $1,500. So the current cost is $1,500. Increase by 25%. So which means your rising entrance fee cost is be 25% of $1,500 times so it'll increase by $375. So last step, how many extra scarves we need to sell? We're gonna use the rising interest fee cost, $375, divided by the profit per unit, $15. So we're gonna sell an extra 25 units of scarves just to pay for the rising extra cost. All right, so for the second part of the question, let's start a new page. So Bobby admired his wife's success in selling scarves, so he decided to make 2 types of plant stand to sell at the show. Bobby make wick stands out of down woods from his backyard and the yard of neighbors, so his variable cost is minimum. It's wood, screws, glue, and so forth. However, Bobby has to purchase wood to make his oak plant stand. His unit price and cost are as follows. So sales price for each one, and then variable cost for each one. So wick stand are more popular, so Bobby sells 4 wick stand for every 1 oak stand. Now this is very important information. We'll come back to it. Julie charged her husband $455 to share her booth at the craft shows. After all, she has paid the entrance fee. How many of each plant stand does Bobby need to sell to break even? All right, so we're looking for the break even cost, and then for the break even formula, so for break even, now if you use the contribution margin formula, so for contribution margin formula, we're gonna use your total revenue minus your cost. That if this equal to 0, that will equal to your break-even quantity. All right, so that's the traditional method. But for a contribution margin method, we're going to use your total contribution minus your fixed cost. Now we know our fixed cost. Fixed cost is 455. So fixed cost is 455. Now what you don't know right now is what's your total contribution margin, or the total contribution. So for total contribution, that will equals to your contribution margin times quantity. All right, so to find contribution margin, we're gonna need your sales price minus the variable cost. Now we have the sales price and the variable cost, but the problem is we have two different items over here, the wick stand and the oak stand. So to do this problem, we need to find out what is our average contribution margin. So now remember this highlighted section we have over here earlier? This will come very handy. So this states that we sell 4 wick stands for every, that's a typo too. Man, so many typos. We sell 4 wick stand for every 1 oak stand. So the ratio is 4:1, or we can also think this as, let's do this. So let's find out what is our average contribution margin. Now let me see, highlight this table onto my spreadsheet so that I don't type everything out again. All right, here we go. Okay, so to find out what is our total contribution margin, or the average contribution margin, gonna do this. So for every 4 wick stand, let's find a contribution margin for the wick stand. So 13 minus 2.5 plus we sell 1 oak stand. So 1 oak stand, this would be contribution margin. And then for the average, we're going to divide it by 5. So every 4 wick stand and 1 oak stand, and this will give the average for every stand. Okay, so the average contribution margin is $13. This is the average contribution margin